Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name's Amanda. We're jumping right into this review. Nobody's surprised that I read another Stephen King book. It is still October. I am still reading Stephen King. This one was a collection of 4 novellas. It's called Different Seasons. And at the end of it, Stephen King said that he wanted to call it this because the 4 stories have nothing to do with each other. They're really different. And so he wanted it to be called Different Seasons. Anyway, that brings me to the part that I like the best about all of these is that we always get the note at the end. And like he talked about when he wrote each of these, that the fact that he lived in 4 different houses, writing these 4 different stories, and the fact that they always tacked on behind another story. I think that's very interesting to read. I mean, I would like to know the order that the books were written, not the order that they were published, because I know things are published out of order, but if you could somehow get a list of the order that Stephen King wrote his books and read them like that, I wonder if you would like get a different picture of how he writes. Anyway, that has nothing to do with Different Seasons. These stories, there's 4 of them. I know that 3 of them, I think, have been made into movies. I'm actually not sure about one, so I know 2. So here we go. The first one is called Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. So, of course, this was made into a movie called The Shawshank Redemption. If you have not seen this movie, I highly recommend it. The movie is fantastic. The novella, I'm going to call them books, but they're novellas, is amazing as well. And so it's just so good. Then the next story, The Shawshank Redemption is about a man who is falsely imprisoned and the adventures that he has along the way and the people that he meets in prison. That's all I'm going to say. I can't really say more than that, but that's what I'm going to say. There are trigger warnings for the book. I don't remember for the movie, but potentially. So look those up before you go there. The second story is Apt Pupil. This one was so surprising to me. Like, it starts out as like a straightforward book at the beginning, and then a little bit of extortion is added in, and you're like, okay. And then I kept thinking to myself, when is the twist coming? Like, there's going to be some kind of like horrible turning, right? And it gets there eventually as you're going through the book, but it is, how did Stephen King describe it? He said it was a young boy and an old man on a path. He didn't call it a path of mutual destruction, but that's kind of what I call it. Django would like to say hi. He's feeling very left out today. Okay, and I did just look it up. Apt Pupil is a movie, so I haven't seen it, but then the next story is called The Body, which did also become a movie that I have seen called Stand By Me. I didn't know that this book and movie were connected, and I started reading the story and I thought, this sounds just like Stand By Me. And I said something to my husband about it, and he was like, oh yeah, are you reading The Body? And I was like, how did you know this? And he said, well, I know that's where it came from. Anyway, so yes, The Body is the third story in here, and it is about a group of kids who hear about a dead body in the woods and decide to go check it out. That's what happens. The last story is called The Breathing Method. This one, I understand where the title comes from, but you've got to work hard to get to that title. It's ultimately a story of an old men's club, and at the club, they tell stories about things that happened. So the breathing method is actually a story that's being told by someone at the club. So that's all I'm going to say. It's about a woman who is determined to give birth no matter what. So, all right. Those are the 4 stories that are in Different Seasons. I really enjoyed them all. Like, I think Shawshank may be my favorite, but it's right up there with Apt Pupil. And then I liked The Body, and Breathing Method is one of those where you don't really know what's happening as you're going along. You're like, okay, like this is a story, but then you're like, oh, now I see. And it's one of those things that just gets you right at the end. You're like, okay, yeah, I get it. So I liked that one for that reason. I don't know. I just liked them all. So I'm giving this 5 out of 5 stars. Overall, as a collection, I thought that it was fantastic, and I recommend it for anybody. You don't have to know anything about any Stephen King books. Yes, they're all elements of horror in here, but they're not spooky, scary horror, I don't think. But anyway, let me know if you've read it. Let me know your other collections if you've read, because I want to know what your thoughts are on his other collections. I haven't read any, but I'm going to be reading one later this month, another collection. So that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.